this is probably the best episode of Enterprise that I've seen so far, I think.
Yeah, it's great. Really good.
I thought that this was, we'll get to the ratings later, but this was something that I always complain about the show, is that the show rarely has a point of view about anything. Mm-hmm. And I thought that this one, in its swan song 4th season, decided that we're going to attack the traditional TNG version of what the Prime Directive is, which is that the Organians actually represent what Picard and them would do early on. Right, it's a kind of non-interference thing. There are literally episodes of TNG where the crew is like just observing aliens down there, and they're not going to break first contact because they're not warp capable or whatever. And there's a lot of immoral TNG episodes where a civilization is about to get destroyed by a comet or a sickness, and the crew's like, well, we can't do anything for them because fuck them. Like, they don't have warp drive. They're not important enough to live. And the Organians are of that opinion starting this off. They have that kind of like, don't interfere with anybody because we are superior to them. And if our superiority influences them in any way, it's only going to be a bad time. And I thought Enterprise did a fairly brave thing here by challenging that idea that that's a good thing. And
yeah, you
can probably get into canon problems about like why Archer would feel that way. Excuse me. But I thought it was, on the Enterprise's way out, it's a good way to take an idea from a previous Trek show that never really made sense and make a good episode around it that actually challenges it in a very DS90 kind of way.
Yeah.
I don't think it gets deep as DS9 ever would, because I don't think Enterprise is willing to do that, but I was surprised by how antagonistic it was towards Trek ideals in a lot of different ways.
Well, I think what's interesting about it is, despite it being a Prime Directive pushback, the actual situation is not really a one-to-one Prime Directive situation, because
sure,
the Prime Directive is generally not interacting with a pre-warp culture and influencing stuff that's going to happen naturally. This is basically actively allowing these different species to walk into a trap that, well, it's not a trap, but it's basically like the what are they called? What's the
Organians?
The Organians. The Organians notice that the Organians know that there's no elevator behind the elevator doors, and they just sit there and watch as different cultures open the doors and take a step and fall down the elevator shaft.